Who wants this joint? I'm a businessman. So I offer 20K about what you paid. You pack up, set up in Bushwick or somewhere the fuck else.
You gentlemen have a good night. We're closed.
Hey, asshole. You know who this is?
Relax. Paulie, I got this. What's your name, wise guy?
Payne.
How fucking appropriate. Yeah. Listen, Payne. Now you take the deal before I take it off the table. Beat your ass with it.
You clearly have no fucking idea of who you talking to.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break your jaw for you, lump you up for GP, and then toss your ass out the window.
The movie begins with two police officers actively pursuing a criminal. However, during this pursuit, an officer named Cody suffers severe injuries, and the criminal they are pursuing manages to escape. The runaway criminal not only shoots Cody but also an innocent bystander. Cody's fellow officer, Mason, is visibly distressed by the unfolding situation. Despite Mason's attempts to console the injured Cody with promises of approaching help, Cody is convinced of his impending doom and urges Mason to reach out to his brother, John, to help rescue his former wife from a man named Toro. Mason makes a solemn promise to convey the information to John. Cody's sibling, John Payne, is a retired Special Forces officer who now runs a pub in the suburban parts of New York City. One evening, after the bar officially closes, two individuals arrive, identifying themselves as businessmen interested in purchasing John's establishment. They flaunt their financial capability, insisting John vacate the place immediately. Nonetheless, John remains unmoved and has no plans to relinquish his bar, rejecting any monetary offers they make. This refusal infuriates the men, who begin to make racist remarks about John's ethnicity and issue threats to kill him if he continues to refuse the sale. However, John demonstrates his resilience by responding forcefully to both of them. News of his brother's passing reaches him shortly after the incident, leaving him heartbroken. Come morning, he journeys into the city to meet Briggs, Cody's latest superior. Briggs reveals that his previous supervisor handed down an assignment that resulted in Cody's death. During an operation, Cody and his team were involved in tracking down culprits from black market trade operations when Cody tragically fell victim. The following day, Cody's funeral takes place, with Mason, Cody's closest friend, among the mourners, clearly grief-stricken. During his operation, Cody fell victim to an ambush, leading to his untimely death. Briggs and several other officers also attend the funeral, where they come across Cody's ex-spouse, Lacey, surrounded by a group of people as she leaves the ceremony. Voley, another close friend of Cody's, approaches John. Given that Cody's informant became a marked man once the head of the syndicate, Toro, caught him, he speculates that his informant was the cause of Cody's death. Hearing this, John says that once he's calmer, he'll arrange to meet with Voley for a more detailed discussion. Meanwhile, Mason, who has been conducting undercover surveillance on the syndicate, notices Lacey in the company of a man named Jovich, who is reputed to be Toro's right-hand man and an active field agent. After Lacey and Jovich leave the building, Mason covertly enters, but his presence is detected, leading to a gunfight. Mason, however, successfully escapes the dangerous situation. Elsewhere, Voley receives a visit from a group of men who ruthlessly murder him and his family. The inference here is that these men work for Toro, who won't tolerate any form of disruption to his operations. In the aftermath of these events, Briggs confronts Mason, declaring his intention to send additional forces to conclude the mission. Meanwhile, Mason advocates for a momentary respite to process the loss of his fallen partner. Once Briggs takes his leave, Mason promptly reaches out to John, proposing a meeting at a local pub. John meets his ex-wife, Sky, who works as a dancer in the bar, upon his arrival. Soon after, Mason joins him. They witness a group of men harassing Sky and dragging her into a private room. Asking Mason to hold on for a moment, John springs into action.
Scott, hey, you heard her, right? Get the fuck out. Let her go. You good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
After that, John reconnects with Mason, who proceeds to divulge all relevant information. He reveals that Cody, Voley, and he were all working together on an investigation targeting a syndicate under Toro's leadership. Toro, an enigmatic figure, operates through his right-hand man, Jovic, who was responsible for Cody's murder under Toro's instructions. Unfortunately, the only person who had access to this evidence was Cody. The movie continues with Toro and Jovic implicated. Cody and Voley have now passed away, leaving no one to confront their crimes. When John inquires about Jovic's whereabouts, Mason points to the back of the pub, revealing that Jovic is, in fact, the owner. He visits the establishment every Monday and Thursday to inspect the new dancers, who, according to reports, also double as couriers for Toro's illegal commodities. A group of assailants intent on killing Mason ambushing him on his journey home. Despite the odds, he manages to fend them off and survive the encounter. The narrative shifts back to John, who is now at his brother's residence. Relying on childhood knowledge about his brother's tendency to stash secret items in a specific location, he manages to find proof of Toro and Jovic's criminal activities. This evidence comprises a tape, a mobile phone, and a key. Upon viewing the footage, it reveals Jovic torturing Cody's informant, with Toro present in the background, his face cleverly obscured. We only capture the moment when Toro fires his gun at Cody's informant. John also scrutinizes Cody's phone, uncovering a video where Cody confesses that Toro's gang is pursuing him after seizing their €5 million and hiding it in a safe that only the discovered key can open. Meanwhile, Sky and one of her acquaintances have an unexpected run-in with Jovic and his crew. Jovic interrogates them about the individual who had assaulted his men in his absence. Sky's friend claims it was merely a patron who happened to be there at the time. However, Jovic isn't convinced, lashing out at her nonetheless. Sky's friend stands up to Jovic, and they manage to make a swift escape. Without wasting any time, Jovic dispatches his henchmen to capture both Sky and her friend. The next morning, Mason, an unexpected visitor at Cody's house, startles John. Apologizing for his startled reaction, John invites Mason in and offers him a seat. Once settled, John reveals the evidence he found implicating Toro and Jovic in the recent criminal activities but admits they still lack concrete information about Toro's identity. Having seen Lacey leave with Jovic, both John and Mason decide to pay a visit to Cody's former spouse. Upon meeting Lacey, John broaches the topic of her connections with Toro and Jovic. She confides in him about an encounter with Toro's gang members, where they sought her help in recruiting women in need of employment, intending to use them as dancers and traffickers of illicit goods. When Lacey hesitated, they threatened the lives of Cody and his brother, coercing her into compliance. Given her limited options, they forced her to divorce Cody and cater to their every whim. Soon after this revelation, John receives a distressing video message from his ex-wife's phone, which depicts the cruel torture and eventual murder of Sky and her friend at the bar. Immediately, John heads to Jovic's bar in a fit of fury. Jovic's lieutenant denies knowledge of Jovic's whereabouts, prompting John to retaliate physically. Despite numerous guards attempting to subdue him, they fail one by one. John manages to defeat them all without a scratch.
Jovic.
I don't know nothing.
Eventually, someone reveals that Jovic is already on high alert, holed up in an upstairs room. Jovic opens fire on anyone entering, inadvertently shooting his own lieutenant. Blinded by rage, John engages with Jovic, ultimately breaking his neck. He then questions Jovic's wounded lieutenant about the elusive Toro. The man confesses to frequent meetings with Toro but explains that Toro always concealed his face and altered his voice, leaving only Jovic and Lacey privy to his true identity. Upon hearing this, John promptly finds Lacey and delivers a message for Toro. He wants to arrange a meeting at an old castle in the city and is ready to return the 5 million euros his brother had seized, on the condition that Toro sets Lacey free. Subsequently, John seeks Briggs' assistance, asking for forces to surround Toro, but Briggs declines, citing John's civilian status. Disappointed but undeterred, John turns to Mason, explaining that Briggs has refused to provide support, leaving Mason as his only ally. Given Mason's hatred for Toro, he readily agrees to join John's crusade. Together, they devise multiple traps in preparation for their confrontation with Toro's forces. To sum up briefly, Toro makes his appearance by evening. Accompanied by a sizable army, they disperse around the castle, encircling John. Surrounded by a multitude of his men, Toro steps out from his vehicle and commands John to emerge with his money, using Lacey as leverage. In the heat of the moment, Mason strategizes to take down Toro, only to have his plans thwarted when Toro's men unintentionally shoot each other in a prearranged trap. As Toro takes cover in his car, John and Mason pick off his men one by one.
Family. Stand high, motherfucker. That's too late for running.
Feeling cornered, Toro shoots Lacey and reveals his true identity. When Mason attempts to retaliate, he discovers that Toro is none other than Briggs, the boss of John and Mason. Upon realizing this, fury ignites within John and Mason, and they open fire on Briggs and his henchmen. Despite this, Briggs and one of his men manage to flee into the castle. Briggs ambushes John inside, holding him at gunpoint. He orders John to drop his weapon and hand over the 5 million euros immediately. Stunned by Briggs' actions, John questions why he would go to such lengths and murder his brother. Briggs reveals that he was infatuated with Lacey, but she chose Cody over him. John's suspicions about Briggs being Toro were sparked by a video in which Toro uses a 1911 series pistol with a silver handle to kill an informant, the same type of revolver he had noticed in Briggs' office. Meanwhile, Mason confronts one of Briggs' men, who turns out to be his former police colleague. The man confesses to murdering Voley's family, driving Mason to kill him in a fit of rage. 'Briggs tries to shoot John but ends up knocking him down instead. John, however, quickly regains his footing and retaliates. The previous day, during his visit to Briggs' office, John had discreetly substituted Briggs' bullets with blanks, while Lacey had faked a gunshot wound. Now, Briggs has no option but to physically engage with John. Three weeks later, Lacey's cafe welcomes John. Mason, who had been waiting outside, steps in as well. John is there to meet Lacey, who has now adopted Cody's last name. He hands her a letter before leaving, assuring her that he will always welcome her and her sister if they ever come to New York. He also leaves behind a suitcase containing hundreds of euros, along with the key to the safe where Cody had stashed Briggs' $5 million. As they depart, John expresses his gratitude to Mason for his support. Mason, in return, asserts that he is the one who should be grateful, because thanks to John, Mason is now taking Briggs' place in the police force. Thank you for watching. If you're new, Don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.